Imagine not being Leeds, not feeling this pain, not dancing through thunder, not walking through rain. Imagine not rising with fists in the air when the world turned its back and no one would care. We've lived in the ashes, we've drowned in defeat, but still we stand proud on our battered old feet. Imagine not loving with all that you are. Imagine not being Leeds.
We love you, Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.
We do love you, Leeds, Leeds, Leeds. Hey up everyone, welcome back to Imagine Not Being Leeds. This isn't what I expected to do tonight. I did have a live scheduled, but the laptop decided to go and have a bit of a hissy fit. So yeah, the laptop is out of bounds tonight while it reboots, updates, whatever you want to call it. So I thought I'd do a little video because I want to get it off my chest. Obviously, a bit of news came out earlier. I seen it on Joe's stream actually, talking about how the 49ers, there's been a report I think in the Daily Mail about how the 49ers are sort of going along with Daniel Farke's word about the point per game sort of system, which was working for a period of time. I spoke in one of my early videos about that. I do think it's a bit misleading with the games to come. I'm not quite sure we'll stick to that points per game ratio beyond where we are currently today. The fact that they're giving 5 games by all accounts, including the Forest game, means they've obviously been talking about it. I think they had discussions prior and after the Nottingham Forest game. I don't know if they were crisis talks or what, but they seem to be happy-ish where we are at the minute. With the games to come, I think, I can speak on behalf of everybody. We all think it's going to be tough. If they've given him those 5 games, which is now 4, he's got to pick up 4 points from those 4 games now. Is it likely that we can get a win and a draw out of them 4? I'd say it's highly unlikely. Villa's the game we'll have to target. You'd imagine, I think that's the most winnable of all of them. We're lucky that 3 of them are at home, which is a bit opposite to the last 4. The last 4 looked easier on paper, but 3 of them were away from home. Burnley and Forest look easier games, obviously, but away from home, where we've got a massive problem at Leeds United. We can't win games of football away from home. We can't. There's away form shocking. It used to be away form in London. Now it just seems to be anywhere away from Beeston. We struggle to score goals, create chances. We're struggling to stay in games. And ultimately, we're not getting any points from them. Only won 1 away game all season. Not drawn any either. It's 5 losses, I think, and one win. So those tight games, we have to turn them into points on road. There's no 2 ways about it. Under Daniel Farke, is that possible? Can we do that? The 49ers obviously are going to risk it. I mean, the way they probably see it is, and I've seen a few fans say this, whoever you bring in now, they're probably going to struggle in this next line of fixtures, which I understand. I'm all about a new manager bounce if you were to bring someone in. My good mate AG mentioned earlier when I had a bit of a chat with him, and he was saying there's a problem if you bring a new manager in now and you sort of look at those games, and we do what we a lot of fans do and say it's write that one off. We ain't gonna get now. If someone comes in and you write off maybe 3 of the 4 first games he'd have, or all 4 if you're looking at Villa 2, then that new manager bounce has gone then. And you've wasted it sort of, on games you were never going to win. I would sort of like to see what a new manager would sort of bring to Leeds United to potentially change the mindset of the fans, that we can't go to City, sit in a low block and grind out, a result. Liverpool and Chelsea at home. For me, I'm looking at them now, and for me, they're no hope as a fan, and I am an optimistic fan, but I see them as no hopes. I definitely don't like the notion of it's a free hit, but for me, I just don't see how we get anything in those games. So the emphasis on Villa is massive. If we don't beat Villa, then I think the writing's on the wall. I would say it's already on the wall, to be honest. But I think Villa's the one. He loses against Villa, and he loses, we lose poorly. He then turns toxic, and that's my sort of issue. I sort of look at it at the minute and think, at the minute, there's still a little bit of a divide of whether he should go or not, and it's probably about 75% want him gone. I did a poll on my latest live, and there were 75% of 200 people who voted, which is a big indicator of a smaller sample of the wider fan base. But I'd say that's probably accurate. There is a minority now that would like him to stay, but I look at it a bit like a boxing match and think, if you ever watch a boxing match where someone's on top and it's not quite over, and you're thinking, he's swinging, but he's missing some of these. He's not quite landing, and the ref jumps in and calls it there, and you feel it's been called too early. It's probably the right decision. It will go in that way, but he's jumped in just a little bit too early. Just needed to let it go a little bit longer. I feel like that's what the 49ers do, but ultimately, in that situation, I look at it and go, but he was going to get knocked out anyway, so you've saved him, from further pain, and we're the fans that are going to feel the pain. And that's how I look at this situation. I feel like I can understand why they're just, he's got a bit of credit in bank, some will say a lot of credit in bank for the last 2 seasons, and they're probably looking at it thinking, let's give him that little bit more time. After 15 games, is that still early, is that too far into the season for someone to, sort of pull us back from the brink? No, it's not. 15 games in and still needs 23 left. Still plenty of time for someone to come in with a transfer window in January to look at too. So I understand a little bit, but they must believe that in these 4 games, there's points to be gotten. That's the only way, because as a fan, I don't see it, and if you don't see it, then you don't let him have it. But they must believe. They must have seen something, heard something, had discussions with Farke where they believe that we will get a win and a draw in these next 4 games, which just seem an absolute no chance to me and no hope. Obviously, when it comes to Farke, he's now got to find the answers for these questions. And when you look at the manner of the opponent, the enormity of like that task, I don't understand or see how a 4-3-3 with Brendan Aronson on the right hand side wins these games of football or gets enough points in these games to do it. So in these 4, it's going to be a massive look into how Farke looks at this situation he's at in Leeds now, because we all know he needs to change something if he's still in charge, whether it's formation, style, go back to the not route 1, but a little bit, go long at times, because it does work when we get bodies in and around DCL or Met, whoever's going to play. Don't play out from the back, especially in the 3 games we're talking about, your City away, your Liverpool and your Chelsea. At home against Villa, maybe it'll be a little bit like we've seen already this season, because at home, I don't think we've put in a bad performance at home. I really don't. Even the games we lost to Tottenham, the ones we've drawn to Bournemouth and Newcastle, they've been good performances. I think the Villa game, I understand him getting that. It's just with it being the other side of an international break, and I've heard Jesse Marsh's name spoken way too many times this week, but it feels very much like that. It feels very much like the Jesse Marsh situation all over again. And you need to learn from your mistakes. You need to, hindsight's a great thing, and they've got it on this. They should be able to look at this and see the error of yesteryear and put it right. And I think at this moment right now, it is the moment to do it. And I know these people are wearing international duty, so if a new coach came in these 2 weeks, they wouldn't have the full squad. I get that. But genuinely, I just feel like the term delaying the inevitable it sums this up perfectly. And I would love nothing more than Daniel Farke and Leeds United to prove me wrong and get 4 points, maybe more than that. But I honestly think we'll struggle to get more than 3. And that's based on the fact that, I could see us turning over Villa at home. It's unlikely, but I could see it. Stranger things have happened. But then I do not foresee how we get another point, regardless of where we're playing 2 of those games, we've been at Elland Road. Regardless of that, I don't see how we get more than maybe a solitary win, which is going to be tough anyway. But like I say, he's going to have to change something. I don't see how the same old we've seen week in, week out, which is definitely a downward trajectory of where we were, maybe a month or so ago. Prior Burnley, even the defeat to Tottenham, we looked good, and the late goal conceded against Bournemouth, the performances look good, and we were getting points in that first, say 7 games. We were a decent points total. Now all of a sudden it doesn't look like that anymore, and it's 1 win in 6. If that goes to 1 win in 7, 1 win in 8, at what point do you pull the trigger? When you look at his wins, Wolves and West Ham are in there. Outside that, Everton opening day, hope can happen. It just goes to show, the level we're at in terms of as a newly promoted side, it's so tough to come up here and be competitive in every game. And I actually I feel like I got a little bit deluded really now. I look back and I genuinely thought we were going to be competitive all season after that opening 6-7 weeks. I genuinely did. I was sort of blindsided to think they've got the transfer business right. Yeah, we're missing a bit of stardust, but look how much we're fighting for it. Look how much, the effort, the energy, the pressing all over the pitch. And that's gone now. Everything's dead slow. Everything's passive. Nothing is done with tempo. And Leeds play so poor. In Championship, we played bad with no tempo. We played so poor. Keeping the possession for possession's sake and not looking like we had any purpose to any of our attacks. And he has to change. There has to be a rocket shoved at those players' ass. It's not all at Farke's door. It's not the players have to step up. But how, in the situation we're in now, can you motivate players to pick up points in these sort of games when we weren't able to get them in and around the sides, in and around us down the bottom of the table? How do you expect this manager and this group of players to be able to get enough points to keep him in the job? I definitely feel like he's like a dead man walking currently. And yeah, I just think we should have put him out of his misery because I don't know. I just don't see how he gets through these games, in my opinion. I'd love to know what you guys think. I really would. I'd love to have done this on a live. But yeah, I can't do tomorrow night and then late night Leeds on Friday. So this was only the real opportunity I had to put this video out. So I'm a little bit annoyed I couldn't get on a live and get your opinions. But that's how I sort of feel about the situation. I don't see how he gets 4 points from these 4 games. I don't understand why the 49ers have allowed him to have it other than him just having a bit of credit in bank. Is it allowing them time to find the right person to replace him? Could that be it? Are they now going to be looking and talking to people? Because I think they should be. That's something I wanted to get your thoughts on. There's no way they've already had a meeting and discussed it or thought about it, and this has come out as common knowledge now that he's got 4 games to maintain that point per game. So at game week 15, they're expecting, they're hoping he has 15 points. If that's not the case, do they sack him and have no one ready? You've seen the mess at Rangers. Surely now this is, the next couple of weeks they're going to be making inquiries to managers. Fulham, are they going to get Brendan Rodgers in now? He's one on the shortlist. Not saying I want him, but I would assume he'd be on the shortlist. He's on the list of the bookies' favourites and all that. He's a manager that's been there, done it, wore the t-shirt, who's out of work. We've seen West Ham bring someone in. We've seen Forest bring someone in. At some point, I think Leeds do bring someone in. I don't see Farke being here past Christmas. I certainly don't see him here at the end of the season. If he is, then something's turned and, we're all going to be smiling, that's for sure, if he's still here, because ultimately it means we're doing well, I would assume. I do think if he falls short in these games, he will go. And I do put a lot of it down to they must be looking at someone now as well. And that's where that sort of 3, 4, 5 week period now of these next 4 games, it gives them time to sort of look at that and assess. And they can make inquiries, and if they don't need to sack him and results and performances have taken upturn of trajectory, then they don't have to explore those options. But I do think they'll be putting feelers out there. So if it does happen and they pull the plug, they've got someone potentially ready to line up. But I do think Villa's huge. I think we lose there, we lose well at home. It turns toxic, and it's a shame that it looks like the only way they'll sack Farke is if it goes toxic. It looks like that's the only way it goes. I think he's the most senior football man at the club. I mean, Adam Underwood got promoted from, within. So, I mean, who's sacking him other than Parag? At what point, who else can sack him? Robbie Evans, Underwood. He's got a very senior role as Farke, in terms of everything football, he's the main guy. It doesn't feel like a shit show of a club in terms of like Forest who will just fire anyone as and when, which I like. I like that they're digging their heels in a little bit and giving them a little bit more leeway. But yeah, I think the next 4, that's too many. I think if you want to lose to Villa, I think he should go now. But I think if they lose to Villa at home, I think it's going to turn, and it's a shame for him to get sacked in a toxic environment. But I sort of understand why they're letting it go a little bit further, even though I don't agree. But yeah, and I'm pretty sure the majority of the fan base feel the same. I've done a few videos over the last few days. The fan base, everyone's speaking to me, singing off the same hymn sheet, really. They want him gone now. They think it's best for the club, and we've got a higher likelihood of staying up if he want to move on now. But that's all based on getting the right manager in too. You could sack him, think the grass is green, and bring the wrong man in. We've seen that before with Jesse Marsh. A new manager, I think, new ideas. It excites me because I sort of know what we're getting with Farke, and it's very vanilla. But if you get it wrong, better the devil you know and all that. So yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think. Please smash a like on the video for no other reason than feeling sorry for me because I couldn't do a live. I'm really annoyed. You know me, I love doing my lives, just me in the chat. So I'm really fed up with that. But I'm knackered. Let me wake up in the morning and see loads of likes, loads of comments, and a few subscribers. I think I'm about 50 away from 4K as well, which is massive. I've also got a competition, a giveaway for one of my t-shirts, so check out my shorts video of it. Yeah, I've got a video on there, so go watch that one and get involved in the competition. Yeah, please like, please subscribe. Take care. Late Night Leeds on Friday at 10 o'clock. Do not forget, it'll be a good one. Me, Adam and Boss Nas. Take care, everyone. Love you a bit. Bye-bye.